What's up, magical humans? I'm Mia Magic. Welcome back to the Wizarding World. I wanted to talk about spirit animals today because I've been getting a lot of questions about them. What's happening here? And really beautiful insight, interest from people about their particular totems and what and how spirit animal medicine is used. And so one of the most important things that I wanted to touch on, you can see my little jaguar pillow right back there. My grandma gave that to me, bless it, is that you can have a spirit animal and receive spirit animal medicine or messages, and those be totally different things. I have particular totems that I really work deeply with and that really represent me. And then I have the opportunity every single day when a bunny runs into my front yard, or a hawk flies across the sky in front of me, or an owl takes off over the moonlit path that I'm walking on, to receive spirit animal medicine. So your totem animal or your spirit animal would be a specific animal that maybe has been with you your whole life. It's always shown up. Maybe you had a stuffed animal of it as a little person, or you always were drawn to it, or were always drawing it, something like that. Maybe that is your spirit animal. That's who you are. That's what represents you. You can find that animal many different ways. There are a lot of people who do really beautiful spirit animal journeys. Drumming is a great way to find and connect with a spirit animal. I highly recommend. There's this album called Drum Medicine by David and Steve Gordon, I think. It's on Spotify. It is so effing good. Oh my God. The first time I listened to it, I was going to just meditate for a couple minutes, and the whole album is so good. I just went into a full-blown trance, and at the end, I'd listened to the whole thing. My mom's like, honey, I thought we were gonna have dinner together. Like, chop, chop. What are you doing? And I had just gone totally into this whole meditative journey space. Anyways, drumming is a great way. Some people actually do facilitated journeys where you use drums and you start at the base of a tree. Obviously, I really like redwood trees. And then you sort of journey down into the earth realms or the elemental realms, and supposedly there you can meet your spirit animal. I've personally never done a journey like that, because I just have a really deep connection with the animal kingdom, and I always have. And so my animals are close to me, or are always with me, and they speak to me in different ways. But really the biggest thing, the most important thing, is that when you see an animal cross your path, what does it mean to you? This is the most impactful way that you can start to work with spirit animals. And I would just highly recommend you start to notice when you find animals. You can think of an animal that specifically represents you. And I find it even more potent to know and understand that every animal in every moment, every time they present themselves to us, there's medicine, there's a message. And that's what spirit animals are about, is really what the animal is saying to our spirit, what the animal is inviting us to spiritually recognize or reconnect to or remember. That's the biggest blessing and the greatest medicine of spirit animals, is that every single animal has something to teach us, has something to show us, has something to give us. They show up as an opportunity for us to remember, for us to connect to ourselves, to connect to our power, to connect to who we are, who we're meant to be, what we're meant to know, how deeply we are meant to be a part of the earth. And we've just forgotten that so much. Red-tailed hawks are definitely one of my spirit totems. And so they're out during the day. They see from the higher perspective. That's a sort of typical hawk medicine, is being able to zoom out any bird, right? They can see above from the bigger picture of the bird's eye view. But a red-tailed hawk has just that, a red tail. And so red, I love to use red, is the color of the root chakra. It's the color of our survival, our power, our roots, our connectedness to the earth. Again, I'm from the redwoods, so I love redwoods. I love that deep red, powerful energy. So when you think about a red-tailed hawk, it's up there, it's got the higher perspective, but it has a red tail. It's also deeply connected to earth energy, earth medicine. So you can use the colors of the animal, you can use when and how they show up at night, in the morning, right? Some tribes and some traditions are afraid of owls, but for me, I have only had magical, powerful, potent experiences with owls. I actually have an owl pellet on my altar, which some people think is weird, but it has bones and seeds and eggs and stuff in it, and I think it's cool. Yes, I think it's technically owl poop. That's what an owl pellet is, but fuck it, I'm into weird shit. I'm a witch, so I have an owl pellet on my altar. I'm looking at it right now. What's up? And I personally have a lot. I don't feel like you have to have one. If I had to have one, it would be a dragon. And then some people are like, oh, well, dragons aren't real animals. I'm like, well, they are to me. And they're not animals anyway, but that is what my spirit carries. So if I had to choose an animal, one specific animal would definitely be a tiger. I had an imaginary friend who was a tiger when I was a little girl. Her name was Rainbow. I actually had a stuffed animal. You know, I'd like roll around with Rainbow all the time. Everyone knew her. She was like my homie. And so I love tigers. I love that they're big cats, but they also like to swim. Very rare for cats, except when they're in captivity. And then lots of big cats like to swim. Anyways, the first animals that I ever found on the road when I started doing my own witchy taxidermy were owls. And so I started looking up owls, and I already knew that white owls had been represented with Athena because she's the goddess of wisdom. And so I would keep finding these white owls, these barn owls, not like Hedwig owls. That would be cool. Not cool. I don't want them to die, but if I found one, I would be psyched. I don't hang out in snowy places very often. Anyways, so I found these white owls, and so I knew, oh, this is Athena speaking to me. This is the goddess communicating with me. This is that wisdom. We think of Athena as the goddess of war, but she's the goddess of wisdom in that it's the kind of wisdom that allows you to strategically think and plan in a way that you could avoid violence. You could circumvent any of actual warring energy having to happen. You could utilize your wisdom to prevent violence and to prevent fighting. So I felt very, very strongly connected to Athena as a warrior goddess. And so when I started finding white owls, I knew that those were messengers from her. And I have barn owl wings literally all over my house. I love them. I find them all the time. I wish that they didn't have to die from trucks on the freeway, but I am so happy to be able to honor them. So people get really caught on, oh, this is my one spirit animal. Oh, she's a tiger, or oh, he's a raven, or oh, that's a bear, or whatever. But the bottom line is, the most important thing to remember is that we used to have a deep and profoundly interconnected relationship with the earth. So we knew the cycles and the habits and the experiences that animals would have because we were living in much more close proximity with them. And we needed to worry about whether or not they were going to eat us, or if they were going to come trampling in through our camp, or if they were going to stampede and we were in the way. And we just don't really have that relationship to them anymore. We keep them out and we go into the cities and do our little things. And I love that video when COVID first happened of all the animals that were seen in all the major cities because nobody was out and about and the animals were just running wild. It was like, I was like, this is fucking awesome. That's how the world is supposed to be. We're not supposed to be living all piled up on top of each other in cement blocks and all the animals out there, and then we desecrate their habitat anyways. That's not how it's supposed to be. So we used to know what their energy, what their medicine was. I talk about this a lot, but one of my favorite energies, and I live in Topanga, so we have tons of bunnies all around, hundreds of bunnies every day. And rabbit medicine is a beautiful, beautiful sign for anyone. And this can be when you see a rabbit painting or when you pull a tarot card that has a rabbit on it. It doesn't have to be just that the rabbit is in your front yard like they are for me, because unfortunately we just don't live like that anymore. It's so sad. I'm so grateful to have animals all around. I saw a bobcat the other morning. And I was watching yesterday during my meditation, I was just watching all the hawk drama. These ravens and these hawks were just freaking out. And there were all these different types of hawks. It was so fucking cool. Because that's how we're supposed to live. We're supposed to be able to experience and connect with nature all the time. And we just don't do that very often. So this can be whenever any animal comes into your space, however it shows up. The most beautiful thing about rabbit medicine to me is that it has a shadow side and a light side, just like everything, right? That's the yin and the yang of life. So the light is, we say, fuck like rabbits. Rabbit medicine is so creative, so fertile. Rabbits can have 18 kits in one litter. That tiny little animal can make 18 babies. Like, whoa. And then on the shadow side, and I actually witnessed this when I saw the bobcat the other day, it was so wild. This bunny came tearing through my backyard. And I'd never seen a bunny running that fast. They always are just hopping around and eating the grass, hanging out with the squirrels. And so I noticed and I looked, and then I saw the bobcat just prowling through behind it. And I watched the bunny. I seen where the bunny had stopped, and its ears were totally folded down. Usually their ears are up, and its ears were totally folded down. It was completely hunched over, and it looked like a little rock, and it was just still. It wasn't even listening, perked up. It was just hidden like this. And the shadow side of the rabbit is that when they are like that, when they go into that full fear, they are actually more able to be detected by their predator because they're giving off a different frequency. That fear, that tension gives off a totally different vibe than when they're just chill and hanging out and wiggling their little ears and munching on grass or clover or my garden. And so that rabbit medicine is really important for all of us. Oh, when I'm afraid, when I am in my fear, when I am nervous, when I'm in contraction, I'm actually drawing that fear to myself. I'm actually drawing that thing which I'm afraid of more into my reality. And luckily for that bunny, because I was there watching from our yoga deck and I looked down and I saw the bobcat and I exclaimed, I was like, oh, and it saw me and then it got off the track. It started wanting to walk away from where I was instead of towards the bunny. So I saved that bunny's life. But so interesting how that bunny actually would have been more easily detectable by the bobcat because it was in fear than if it had just kind of hung out and stayed. And so that rabbit medicine is so important for all of us when we're talking about fear and understanding, even when we think about magic, right? Magicians now are known for pulling rabbits out of hats, but that's not real magic, that's illusion. And so if we're afraid of magic, if we're afraid of someone being able to do something to us, then that's actually pulling that to us totally on its own because we have the magic inside of us. We are each like that bunny medicine. We are able to, when we're in our creative life force energy, when we're in our truth, we are able to be infinitely potent and fertile with whatever it is that we want to birth into the world. So instead of giving you all the definitions of all the animals, because I could do that, but really, it's not as much fun. What I invite you to do is anytime you see an animal, whether it comes up in a picture or on Instagram or in real life, which I hope you get to see more of because it's such a gift and a blessing, but think about what it means to you. What do you think about when you think of that animal? How does it make you feel? What does it bring up for you? And then I love to use this website called shamanicjourney.com. Think about it for yourself first, but then you can go and Google it. And for me, I have almost always been able to interpret it for myself first and foremost. One of the best times that I wasn't able to do that actually is when I was thinking about vultures. I kept seeing vultures and I was like, ew, vultures, bleh, gross, don't want to talk about them, don't want to look up the spirit animal medicine of vultures, gross. Just kept seeing them, kept seeing them, kept seeing them. Finally, I was up in Humboldt at my mom's house and I was meditating and I opened my eyes and this vulture flew right across my eye line as I was meditating. And I was like, okay, I guess I need to look up what vultures mean. Guess what? Vultures are the only animal that does not kill anything. They actually compost and recycle death for us. The world would be full of rotting carcasses if it wasn't for vultures. Goddess bless them. Thank you. Don't know what we would do without them. They're so magical. They are harbingers of peace. They're actually incredibly social. If they find a huge dead animal, they will travel up to 300 miles to tell another family of vultures, hey, we found something really good to eat. Come and share it with us. Come and join the party. Come together. And you can hear the different tribes of vultures communicating with each other. They'll roost in the trees together and connect and talk. And I mean, that's my interpretation of it, but you can hear them and then they'll keep eating the thing until it's complete together. They're incredibly powerful, beautiful animals. And so I always recommend, if you can't come up with a meaning for yourself, please check out a cool website. Look into what the animal medicine is of that particular animal. I love we've got antlers, I've got all kinds of antlers, bones that I've found, birds' nests, all kinds of things in my altars. I love building altars, so of course my animals have to be represented. So working with spirit animals in any context, whether it's with tarot cards or drawing them or meditating on their spirit, going out into nature and seeing if you can find them or watch them, I don't find that that works very often. They always just come upon me whenever they see fit and whenever it feels most important to them or most impactful in my life. Bless that. I receive the medicine from that. And it's so beautiful to start really harnessing and honing in on what any animal means to you, because you're creating your own reality. So you can also just decide, oh, well, this is what hawk medicine means to me. And oh, I just saw this hawk. And then, oh, tomorrow I'm going through this thing and I saw a hawk again. Oh, I remember that this is what it means to me now. There's so much magic and so much beauty in spirit animal totems. And I highly, highly encourage you to start connecting with them and establishing what your relationship is to the animal kingdom, what your connection or lack thereof to your own primal nature is. Because when we can all reconnect to our primal nature, oh my goddess, the world is going to feel so much better, because she's going to remember that we're connected to her and that we love her and that we honor her and that we know her beauty and that we remember that we're a reflection of her. And that's really the greatest gift that we could give back to our planet, and that I believe the spirit animal medicine is trying to give to us. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Would love to hear what you thought. And if there are any other specific animals that you've been seeing or noticing or been working with lately, I'm Mia Magic. Welcome to the Wizarding World.